Hey guys, Mike here. So today, I'm here to talk to you about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. In this review, I'll be going over a brief summary of the plot, my quick thoughts about the film, and whether or not you guys should go and see it. So I'm going to try and keep this review spoiler-free. However, if you don't know anything about the film, and you want to go in completely blind, then let's just come back to this video once you've seen the film. So with that, let's get started, shall we?
Hey! You're Rick fucking Dalton. Don't you forget it.
So Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is the 9th movie from writer-director Quentin Tarantino, and I believe that this is the second to last movie that he'll ever make, because apparently I heard that he's only going to make 10 movies and that's it, he's just going to retire. So whether he does, whether he doesn't, here's his 9th movie. The movie stars Margot Robbie as Sharon Tate, Brad Pitt as Cliff Booth, and Leonardo DiCaprio as Rick Dalton. And this is the first movie that Leonardo DiCaprio has done since his Oscar win all the way back in 2015. Well, 2016 is when he won it, and 2015 is when the movie came out. And it's bad to think that this is the first movie he's done in like 4 years. So in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, in traditional Tarantino style, we follow not just one main storyline, but multiple storylines throughout the duration of the movie. You've got Rick Dalton trying to make himself feel relevant again in his acting career. You got Cliff Booth trying to find relevance in his life, you know, just trying to actually get work and pretty much just help his friend out anytime he can. And you have Sharon Tate, who's just kind of there, really. And so we have Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Now, I was really looking forward to seeing this movie because though Tarantino isn't exactly my all-time favourite director, I do, for the most part, really enjoy his movies. Not that I've seen every single one of his movies, but the most of the ones that I have seen, I do really enjoy. And the one I probably don't, I probably just need to rewatch because I haven't watched it in like 10, 15 years. So, I didn't know anything about this movie going in. All I knew was that it was kind of set around the late 60s, early 70s, and it was going to be a reflection of Hollywood at the time. And for the most part, I would say that this movie does do that. But it definitely takes certain liberties in telling how things went and how he imagined they would go. And I have to admit, I don't know a whole lot about Hollywood at this point in history. I know names like Steve McQueen and Bruce Lee, but there are quite a few other people in this who I'd never heard of in my entire life. Though I knew the things that they were related to, I just didn't know that they were the particular people in the situation. But before I get into the main part, I just want to talk about the performances. Now, this being Leonardo DiCaprio's first movie since The Revenant, he had to come out swinging and really show everyone why he is one of the best actors working today. And he absolutely nails it. Leonardo DiCaprio is really good in this movie. And honestly, if he won an Oscar for this role, I would have been much happier. Because honestly, though The Revenant is kind of a mixed bag and DiCaprio is good in it, he did not deserve to win an Oscar for that movie. Really, any one of his other Oscar nominations would have been fine, but The Revenant felt like that he was just owed an Oscar for his career rather than winning it for the performance. However, if he's nominated this year and wins, I'd be very happy because he definitely adds a lot of layers to his performance, he's really relatable, and you're really sympathetic to his character. Though having said that, I still think that the person who's going to win Best Actor of the Oscars of the movies that I've seen is Taron Egerton as Elton John, because that was just an absolutely insane performance. Again, not to take anything away from Leonardo DiCaprio, it's just, I feel like it's going to go to Taron this year. Yeah, I'm probably going to look back at this review and just be like, "Ooh, God, I was so wrong," or, "Yeah, I was so right." We'll have to see, time will tell. Brad Pitt, again, you know, really good actor, and he's, again, really good in this. You know, it just goes to show what a brilliant writer that Quentin Tarantino is. He makes such layered characters who are, for the most part, really interesting. But unfortunately, one of the biggest problems I had with this movie came with Margot Robbie. Now, it's nothing against Margot Robbie. I think she is an absolutely outstanding actress and probably one of the best actresses working today. But unfortunately, she has nothing to do in this movie. For the most part, she kind of just meanders around from place to place, and she spends the rest of the movie just kind of barefoot and pregnant. Now, the ending of the movie might have made a bit more sense from her character's perspective if I knew exactly who she was or what she was involved in. But unfortunately, I had no idea who Sharon Tate was or anything that happens to her. Though I had people who went with me to this movie who told me what happened to her, and then I kind of got a better idea of who she was. But unfortunately, from my perspective, she was completely pointless to the story. Now, I did actually talk to my friend about this, so this bit is going to be a bit of a spoiler, so turn off if you don't want to hear it. As history goes, Sharon Tate and all of her friends were brutally murdered by a lot of Charles Manson's disciples, basically. But in this movie, that's not exactly how it goes, because this kind of brings it back to the title, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This is more of a fantasy, a fairy tale. This is how Quentin Tarantino wished that it had gone. And once knowing that, I can appreciate what they were trying to go for. But unfortunately, because I don't know who she is, and her character, for the most part, for the rest of the movie, goes absolutely nowhere, and it just kind of basically relies on you needing to know who she is. Because if you don't know who she is, like I don't, then for the most part, all you see is just a woman just kind of walking around Hollywood. So this is kind of a 50-50 one. It's partly my fault for not knowing who she is, but again, the filmmakers need to kind of do something more with her, rather than just saying that, oh yeah, she was supposed to die, but she didn't die. It's like saying that you don't know who Abraham Lincoln is, and the most significant thing happens to him is when he gets assassinated. Now, for the most part, you just kind of show him in 1 or 2 scenes in office, and then you take him to the theatre, and then he doesn't get shot. Probably show a bit more of Abraham Lincoln to kind of get an idea of who he is. But again, you know, Abraham Lincoln's definitely a lot more well-known than Sharon Tate, so it's kind of hard to compare. I don't know, I just found her character completely pointless to the story. I mean, let me know if you agree in the comments. Now, someone else who was really, really good in this movie was a young actress named Julia Butlers, who plays a character called Trudy. Now, she doesn't have exactly many scenes in the movie. I think she's probably on screen for about 10 minutes, maybe 15, but she absolutely steals the show, and she's acting alongside Leonardo DiCaprio, and the fact that she's able to kind of maintain the attention of the audience equal to this man, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio, is absolutely incredible, and I can tell that this girl has a outstanding career ahead of her. If she can keep up this level of professionalism and intrigue, then, you know, good luck to her. But now, to the actual story itself, I have to say that for some parts of the movie, I was really intrigued. I mean, the Leonardo DiCaprio scenes were the most intriguing because it was kind of really interesting to delve into the psyche of the character, trying to find relevance in the world, and just like kind of watching these scenes where he's acting and kind of messing up and like can't get his lines right. I found these scenes really interesting. The Sharon Tate scenes, like I said, were just completely pointless, and just I completely lost interest in all these kind of scenes. And Brad Pitt's scenes, for the most part, were kind of hit and miss. I mean, Brad Pitt had 2 of my favourite scenes in the movie. The first one, his scene with Bruce Lee, which was completely hilarious, and actually, it was quite a well-choreographed fight for the short time that it actually lasted. And my other favourite Brad Pitt scene came towards the end of the movie. I can't tell you exactly what it is because it does delve into spoiler territory. All I know is that it definitely did save this movie. The other thing as well is that Brad Pitt had one of the most boring scenes in the movie as well. No, I wouldn't say boring, it's just it didn't do exactly what it was trying to do. This was supposed to be a super tense scene where it could go one way or the other, but it just kind of went on for so long and it was just paced so poorly, and I kind of didn't really care what happened, and it didn't really feel like it could go either way, at least for the character's safety anyway. I felt that for the whole scene he had complete control of everything that happened, and I didn't really feel any threat or danger for him, so, I mean, though other people may have felt it, I just didn't really feel it for this scene. And as well, I would say that pacing overall is the biggest problem this movie has. Because this movie comes in about 2 3/4 hours long, but it feels so much longer. Like, you think that the movie's kind of drawing to an end, then it goes on for like another half an hour. And there were definitely parts you could have taken out of this movie. But the ending of the movie definitely did help kind of soften the blow of the most part of what I'd seen. Overall, guys, this movie was kind of a mixed bag for me. I did definitely enjoy the performances, the ending was really good, and there were definitely quite a few interesting scenes in this movie. However, the ones that were not as interesting, and when this movie does kind of slow down and dip, it dips hard. But then it does kind of pick itself back up again. But this was kind of a roller coaster in the sense of that it just never really maintained a strict level of interest for me. You know, I can definitely respect a lot of what Tarantino does. He's a man who has a vision and he sticks to it. But he's definitely not one of my favourite directors. And I think for the most part, the main reason that I found this as interesting as it was that it was directed by Tarantino. I think that if anyone else had made this movie, it probably wouldn't have been as well received. Because I think it's mainly the Tarantino name that definitely does elevate this movie. But now, as for whether or not you guys should go and see it, I'm having a bit of a hard time recommending this one. If you're a die-hard Tarantino fan, then absolutely go see this movie, because if you love all of his other movies, then you'll absolutely love this one. But I mean, if you don't like Tarantino's style in the slightest, then steer clear of this one, because this is 100% Tarantino. But for me personally, the uneven pacing and for the kind of hit and miss scenes, no, you know what, actually I would recommend that you go see this movie, because it is Tarantino. Tarantino's movies are event movies. Not in the sense of like, you know, something grand happens on the screen, but it's more the fact of like, when Tarantino released a movie, people go see it. And I would say go see it to see what you think of it, because this is one for me that if people say they love it, I'm there like, yep, I can fully appreciate why you love this. But if you hate it, then I can be like, yep, I can understand why you hate this movie. So for me, this movie's kind of hit and miss. Okay guys, that's my review of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. If you've seen it, what did you think about it? And what's your favourite Tarantino movie? Whatever it is, drop it in the comments below. And until next time, I've been Michael. See ya!